The evening sun cast long shadows across the dusty streets of Mombasa as a tall, weary-looking man dragged a small, tattered suitcase down the red earth road. His beard had grown thick and unkempt. His clothes were faded and worn, and his shoes had holes that let in dust with every step. No one in the bustling Kenyan city recognized this man as Jabari, a mining magnate who had left Kenya 18 years ago to build an empire in Namibia and beyond. Nobody knew he once owned diamond mines, gold processing plants, and luxury hotels across 3 African countries. Nobody knew he had once been the pride of his entire family, the brilliant son who lifted them all from the poverty of their small coffee farming village to lives of comfort and prosperity in Mombasa. Now Jabari was walking toward the very mansion he had built for his parents years ago, the biggest house on Baobab Avenue, painted ivory with tall iron gates and manicured gardens. But this time he wasn't returning as a successful mining executive his family remembered. He was coming back as a man who wanted to test something precious, the hearts of those he loved most. Standing at the familiar gates, Jabari's eyes grew misty. He remembered the day he had handed the house keys to his mother, Mama Amara, while she wept with joy and called down blessings from the ancestors. He remembered how his siblings Mosi, Seko, and Nia had knelt before him 5 years ago, promising never forget his kindness after he gave each of them seed money and built houses in their names throughout Mombasa. Now, Jabari whispered to himself in Swahili, let me see if they truly meant those promises. He knocked on the gate with trembling knuckles. The security guard peered through the small window, frowning at his rough appearance, and nearly refused him entry until Jabari said quietly, I am Mama Mara's son, Jabari. Minutes later, his mother rushed out from the main house, her colorful kanga wrapper flowing behind her. She stopped dead when she saw him, her eldest son looking as disheveled as a street beggar. Her hands shook as she reached out to touch his bearded face. Jabari, my son, is this really you? She whispered, her voice filled with shock and concern. Tears filled Jabari's eyes as he knelt on the compound's concrete floor. Mama, I've come home. Mama Amara embraced him tightly, but questions raced through her mind. How could her once prosperous son, who owned mining operations across southern Africa, return in such a state? News of Jabari's return spread to the family like wildfire in the dry season. By evening, the compound buzzed with the sound of expensive cars pulling through the gates. Mosi, his youngest brother, arrived in a black Toyota Land Cruiser. Seko followed in a shiny Honda Pilot. Their sister, Nia, drove up with her husband Kwame in a gleaming Mercedes-Benz C-Class. All 3 siblings looked prosperous, wearing expensive traditional clothes, gold jewelry catching the light, and carrying themselves with the confidence of people who had tasted success. But this success was not entirely their own creation. It was Jabari who had given them the foundation, Jabari who had provided millions of shillings to start their businesses, Jabari who had built their homes, and even supported Kwame's construction company with startup capital. Now they gathered in the mansion's spacious living room, their faces bright with anticipation and barely concealed excitement. Everyone wanted to know what their successful brother had brought back from his mining empire in Namibia. Jabari sat quietly on the leather sofa, his worn traveling bag at his feet. He studied each sibling's face, remembering their heartfelt promises of loyalty and gratitude from years past. Finally, he cleared his throat. My brothers, my sister, he began in Swahili. I thank God to see you all again after so many years away. Mosi leaned forward eagerly. We praise God for your life. Jabari, we heard you were coming back from Namibia. We know you must be bringing great blessings for the family. Seko nodded enthusiastically. Yes, we've been waiting for this day. Your mining business must be doing incredibly well. Nia smiled brightly, her eyes gleaming. Brother Jabari, Kwame and I are so excited to see you. We know God has been faithful to you in the diamond mines. The test has begun, but will his family pass or fail? What would you do if your wealthy sibling came home asking for help instead of giving it? Subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion for the next chapter that reveals their shocking responses. Smash that like button if you're ready to see how this family reacts to their brother's apparent downfall, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Jabari looked deeply at each of them, then sighed heavily, letting his shoulders slump with apparent defeat. I wish I came back with blessings, he said slowly, his voice breaking as if with genuine pain. But the truth is bitter and hard to swallow. The room fell silent, their eager smiles beginning to fade like morning mist. Jabari bent his head, speaking slowly with a voice that trembled with emotion. My family, I was betrayed in Namibia. My business partner, a man I trusted like a brother, framed me for illegal mining activities. They accused me of crimes I never committed. I was arrested and spent months fighting in the courts. He paused, letting fake tears gather in his eyes. After 18 years of building my empire, I lost everything. The government seized my diamond mines, my gold processing plants, my hotels. Everything I worked for was taken. After all these years abroad, I was deported with nothing, not even a single dollar to my name. Gasps echoed through the room. Kwame shifted uncomfortably. Mosi's confident expression hardened. Seko cleared his throat, but remained silent. Jabari continued, his voice thick with manufactured grief. I know this is difficult to believe, but today I am no longer the mining magnate you once knew. I came back with absolutely nothing. My only comfort, my only peace is knowing that before my downfall, I was able to help my family escape poverty. His eyes moved from face to face. I built houses for each of you. I gave you money to start your businesses. I supported your families, so you would never suffer as our parents once did. That knowledge is my only consolation now. He looked directly at them, his voice dropping to a whisper. But today, for the first time in my adult life, I need help. I need you, my family, my blood, to help me rebuild from nothing. I cannot do this alone. The atmosphere in the room grew thick with tension. Nobody spoke. Mama Amara's eyes filled with tears of sympathy, but the siblings exchanged uncomfortable glances. Their faces showed pity mixed with unmistakable disappointment. The harsh truth was sinking in. There would be no expensive gift from Namibia this time, no envelopes full of foreign currency, no grand business opportunities. Their wealthy brother had returned empty-handed, and suddenly he wasn't quite as welcome as they had anticipated. One by one, their bright smiles transformed into forced expressions of concern, but their hearts sank with the realization that instead of receiving help, they were being asked to provide it. Mosi was the first to speak, clearing his throat awkwardly. Brother Jabari, this is unexpected, very unexpected. Of course we want to help, but what? Mama Amari interrupted, her eyes narrowing as she watched her youngest son squirm. Business has been difficult lately, Mosi continued, avoiding eye contact. The economy isn't what it used to be. I have school fees for my children, loans to repay. Seko nodded quickly. Yes, things are tight for all of us right now. The government increased taxes, and my import business is struggling to stay afloat. Nia glanced at her husband, who gave a slight shake of his head. Brother Jabari, she said softly, we are so sorry for your troubles. Perhaps we could all pray together for your situation. Mama Amara stared at her children in growing disbelief. Is this how you respond to your brother's need? With excuses? With prayers but no action? The same brother who gave you everything. Jabari raised his hand gently. It's all right, Mama. I understand their position. Times are hard for everyone. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed his disappointment. I just need a place to stay for a few days while I figure out my next steps. An uncomfortable silence filled the room. Then Mosi spoke up, his voice artificially bright. Brother, you're welcome to stay with us for a night or two, but our guest room is being renovated, so it might not be comfortable. Seko nodded quickly, and we're having some plumbing issues at our place. Perhaps Nia and Kwame have space. Nia looked at Kwame again, her expression pleading. Kwame sighed heavily before speaking. Our children have exams coming up, and they need quiet for studying. Perhaps it's best if you stay here with Mama Amara for now. Mama Amara's face darkened with anger and shame. So this is who you have become? The same children who lived in a 2-room mud house before Jabari built mansions for you? The same ones who couldn't afford school fees before Jabari paid for your education? The siblings looked down, unable to meet their mother's accusatory gaze. Jabari watched silently, his heart breaking as he witnessed the truth unfold before his eyes. "It's just temporary, Mama," Nia said weakly. "Once we sort out our financial situations, we'll be in a better position to help." Mosi checked his expensive watch. "I have a business meeting across town. I should get going, but let's talk tomorrow about how we can help." Seko stood up as well. "I need to pick up my wife from her shopping trip. Jabari, brother, stay strong. God will make a way." One by one, they made their excuses and left, promising to return soon with solutions. But their hasty departures and hollow words told Jabari everything he needed to know. As the sound of their luxury cars faded into the distance, Mama Mara sat down heavily beside her eldest son, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. "My son, I am ashamed. This is not how I raised him to be." Jabari put his arm around his mother's shoulders. "Don't cry, Mama. This is exactly why I came back. Not because I needed help, but because I needed to know the truth. Is blood always thicker than water? What would you do if you were in Jabari's shoes? Would you reveal the truth or keep testing your family further?" For the next shocking development in this family drama, subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Hit the like button if the story is touching your heart, and ring that notification bell to catch the next chapter as soon as it drops. The next morning, Jabari woke early. He put on his tattered clothes once more and walked into the kitchen, where Mama Mara was preparing breakfast. "I'm going to visit each of my siblings today," he announced, his voice determined. Mama Mara looked at him with concern. "After how they treated you yesterday, why put yourself through more disappointment?" Jabari smiled sadly. "The test isn't complete, Mama. I need to see how far their rejection goes. Only then will I know the full truth of their hearts." After breakfast, he walked several kilometers to Mosi's mansion, a sprawling property that Jabari himself had financed 5 years ago. The security guard at the gate barely gave him a second glance before waving him through, recognizing him from the previous day. Mosi was in the driveway, instructing his gardener, while his children played on imported bicycles on the manicured lawn. When he spotted Jabari approaching on foot, his welcoming smile faltered. "Brother, I was just about to call you," Mosi said, quickly dismissing the gardener. "What brings you here so early?" Jabari gestured to his shabby clothes. "I need work, brother. Any kind of work. I thought perhaps you could use help around your office or warehouse. I'm willing to do anything." Mosi's expression shifted from surprise to discomfort. He glanced nervously at his mansion, where his wife watched from behind curtained windows. "Look, Jabari," he said in a lowered voice, "this isn't a good time. I have business associates coming over later, and—" He hesitated, searching for the right words. "It wouldn't look professional if my staff knew my brother was working as a common laborer." Jabari nodded slowly, absorbing the cruel irony of his brother's words. This mansion, these gardens, the imported cars in the garage, all paid for by Jabari's generosity. Now he wasn't even good enough to sweep the floors. "I understand," Jabari said quietly. "What about a loan, then?" "Just enough to rent a small room in town and buy food until I can find work." Mosi checked his watch impatiently. "I'm actually cash poor right now. All my money is tied up in investments. Maybe try Seko or Nia." Before Jabari could respond, Mosi was already walking back toward his house. "I'll call you later, brother. We'll figure something out." But both of them knew the call would never come. Jabari's next stop was Seko's electronic shop in downtown Mombasa, a thriving business that Jabari had funded from scratch. The air-conditioned showroom displayed the latest televisions, smartphones, and computers. Customers browsed while well-dressed salespeople offered assistance. Seko was in his office, reviewing spreadsheets when his secretary announced Jabari's arrival. His brother's face fell when he saw Jabari's appearance, quickly ushering him into the office and closing the door. "Brother, you shouldn't just show up at my workplace like this," Seko whispered harshly. "What will my employees think?" Jabari sat down uninvited. "I need a job, Seko. I have experience in management, customer service, even security. I'll take anything you can offer." Seko leaned back in his leather chair, his expression calculating. "Actually, we do need a night watchman for our warehouse. The pay isn't much, just 10,000 shillings a month, but it includes a small room where you could sleep. Jabari stared at his brother in disbelief. 5 years ago, he had given Seko 15 million shillings to start this business. Now he was offering his own brother, who had made him wealthy, a security guard position for less than minimum wage. The warehouse is in a rough neighborhood, Seko continued, seemingly oblivious to the irony. But beggars can't be choosers, right? No offense. Jabari stood up slowly. I'll think about it, he said quietly, though his heart was breaking. His final visit was to Nia and Kwame's architectural firm, another business built entirely with Jabari's capital. The modern office building stood proudly in the business district of Mombasa, its glass facade gleaming in the midday sun. Unlike her brothers, Nia seemed genuinely distressed to see Jabari in his disheveled state. She quickly led him to a private conference room away from curious employees. "Brother, you look hungry," she said, ordering coffee and sandwiches for him. "Have you eaten today?" Jabari nodded. "Mama made breakfast." "I'm not here for food, sister. I'm here because I need your help finding proper work. Perhaps in your firm, I can learn drafting or handle client relations." Kwame, who had joined them, exchanged a meaningful glance with his wife. "Brother-in-law, we're actually downsizing at the moment. The construction industry is facing challenges. But what about all the projects I saw featured in Business Weekly last month?" Jabari asked innocently. "The article said your firm is expanding across East Africa." Caught in the lie, Kwame stammered. "Well, yes, but those projects are already fully staffed and—" Nia interrupted, her voice soft but firm. "Jabari, we love you, but bringing you into our business would be complicated. Clients expect a certain image. Perhaps we could help you in other ways." "What other ways?" Jabari asked directly. After an uncomfortable silence, Nia reached into her handbag and withdrew 5,000 shillings. "This should help with immediate needs. We can send a similar amount monthly, but please don't come to the office again. Call first, and we can meet somewhere more private." Jabari looked at the money, less than what they probably spent on coffee each week, and then at his sister's designer handbag that he had gifted her on her birthday 2 years ago. Without a word, he stood and walked out, leaving the money untouched on the table. By sunset, Jabari returned to his mother's house, his heart heavy but his mind clear. The test was complete. His family had failed in every possible way. Mama Mara took one look at his face and knew they rejected you again. Jabari nodded, his eyes filled with unshed tears. "They're ashamed of me, Mama. The same people who knelt before me and promised eternal gratitude now treat me worse than a stranger." Mama Mara's face hardened with righteous anger. Then it's time they learn the truth. It's time they face the consequences of their actions. Is betrayal by family the deepest cut of all? How should Jabari respond to his siblings' rejection? Would you forgive such treatment from your own blood? The revelation is coming. Subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion to witness the moment of truth. Hit that like button if you're ready for justice to be served, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the dramatic confrontation in the next chapter. That evening, Jabari sat alone on the veranda of his mother's mansion, watching the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. His heart was heavy with the weight of betrayal, but there was also a strange sense of peace. Now he knew the truth about his family, a painful truth, but truth nonetheless. Mama Mar joined him, carrying 2 cups of spiced tea. Her face was etched with lines of anger and disappointment. "In our culture," she said, breaking the silence, "we believe that the ancestors watch over us and judge our actions. What would your late father say if he could see how his children have treated their brother?" Jabari sipped his tea, thoughtfully. "He would be ashamed, Mama, but perhaps this is my fault too. I gave them too much, too easily. I never taught them the value of struggle or the importance of gratitude." Mama Mara shook her head fiercely. "No, my son, do not blame yourself for their shameful behavior. You were generous because your heart is good. They are selfish because their hearts have been corrupted by greed and comfort." Inside the house, Jabari's phone rang. His real phone, not the cheap one he had been carrying as part of his disguise. It was hidden in a secret compartment of his tattered suitcase. He answered it, speaking in quick professional tones about mining operations, stock prices, and investment opportunities. Mama Amara watched him, marveling at the transformation as her son switched effortlessly from his role as a destitute failure to the powerful businessman he truly was. When the call ended, she spoke with determination. They cannot go unpunished. They cannot trample on the son who made them who they are today. I carried all of you in my womb, but you, Jabari, carried all of them with your hands and your heart. Tears of fury mixed with maternal pain flowed down her cheeks. By the God I serve, she vowed quietly, I will open their eyes. They will taste shame for how they treated their benefactor. They will learn what it means to bite the hand that fed them. 2 days later, Mama Mara made phone calls to each of her other children, her voice stern and commanding. Come home this Sunday. All of you. I have something important to discuss with the family. Sunday afternoon arrived with unusual tension in the air. The compound filled with expensive cars as the siblings arrived, looking prosperous and confident. Mosi stepped out of his Range Rover, wearing an elegant kite outfit. Seko emerged from his Lexus with designer sunglasses, radiating arrogance. Nia and Kwame arrived in their Mercedes, both dressed in expensive traditional attire. They entered the living room with curious smiles, completely unaware of the storm about to break over their heads. Jabari was already seated, wearing simple but clean clothes, his eyes red but steady with newfound resolve. Mama Mara sat beside him, her wrapper tied tightly, her face set like stone. The siblings settled into their chairs, exchanging glances and whispering among themselves about why their mother had called this unexpected meeting. Mosi, Seko Nia, Mama Mara said, her voice carrying the authority of matriarch. I called you here because today the truth will be spoken in this house. The truth that none of you can escape or deny. They shifted uncomfortably, sensing something was different about their usually gentle mother's demeanor. Jabari slowly stood up. His voice was calm, but each word felt like a hammer blow in the silent room. My brothers, my sister, when I returned from Namibia, I told you I had lost everything. I told you I was betrayed, deported, and left with nothing. I said I was poor and desperate, begging for your help. He paused, letting his eyes move across each of their faces. That was my story, and you all heard it. Nia swallowed nervously. Mosi frowned with growing unease. Seko maintained his arrogant smile, but it was beginning to waver. Jabari's voice grew stronger, more commanding. But the truth is, it was all a lie. A complete fabrication, a test of your hearts, your loyalty, your character. Gasps filled the room. Mama Amara nodded silently, tears of vindication in her eyes. I am not poor, Jabari continued, his voice rising with emotion. I was never betrayed. No government seized my properties. My diamond mines are still producing. My gold processing plants are still operating. My hotels across Namibia, Botswana, and Kenya are thriving. I am wealthier today than I have ever been in my entire life. He pulled out his smartphone, scrolling through photographs of his sprawling mining operations, his luxury hotels, his fleet of vehicles, his multiple mansions. He placed the phone on the center table for all of them to see. My mining empire spans 3 countries. My businesses employ over 2,000 people. I own properties worth more than $50 million. Mosi's confident expression crumbled. Seko's arrogance evaporated instantly. Nia covered her mouth with her hands in shock. What will happen next? Will Jabari forgive his siblings or cut them off forever? How will they react when they realize the magnitude of their betrayal? Don't miss the explosive final chapter. Subscribe to AfricanTales by Zion right now. Smash that like button if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, and hit the notification bell to be the first to see how this family drama concludes. Jabari's voice broke with pain and disappointment as he continued to expose the truth. But you, my own blood, failed the test completely. Mosi, you lied to my face and refused to help me find work. Seko, you offered me a job as your security guard in the house I built for you. Nia, you gave me pocket change and asked me not to come to your office again while living in the comfort I provided. Mama Amara slammed her hand on the table, her voice shaking with rage and sorrow. Did you hear your brother? Did you understand what he just revealed? After everything he did for you, after he lifted you from poverty, built your houses, funded your businesses, educated your children, you rejected him because you thought he was poor. She stood up, pointing at each of them with trembling fingers. You betrayed blood. You trampled on love. You forgot the hand that fed you. May God judge each of you for this wickedness. Tears streamed down her face as she struggled to control her emotions. Jabari's shoulders shook as he fought to maintain his composure. He turned away from them, his voice thick with grief. I wish I could say I forgive you. I wish I could pretend this test never happened. But you have shown me your true hearts. You only love my money, never me as a person. He took a deep breath, wiped his tears, and spoke the words that would haunt him forever. From this day forward, I consider you dead to me as siblings. You are no longer my family. My only family in this house is Mama Amara. She alone loved me without conditions. Knowing this was no longer a test, he picked up his bag, no longer torn and shabby, but a designer leather briefcase he had hidden away. Enjoy the wealth I gave you years ago, but you will never see another shilling from me, and you will never see me again. Jabari walked toward the door with his head held high, his decision final and irrevocable. Mosi jumped to his feet, panic in his voice. Jabari, wait. Please, I can explain. I didn't know. Seko stood frozen, his pride completely shattered. Brother, please don't leave us like this. We made a mistake. Nia burst into tears, calling after him desperately. Brother Jabari, please forgive us. We're sorry. Don't abandon your family. But Jabari did not turn back. He walked out of the mansion with firm steps, his heart broken but his dignity intact. Outside, a black Mercedes G-Wagon waited at the gate, his personal vehicle with his driver standing at attention. He entered the luxury SUV and settled into the leather seats. As the vehicle pulled away from the compound, Jabari whispered to himself, Let them live with their shame and regret. My test is finished. My relationship with them is over forever. Behind him, he left the mansion drowning in guilt, tears, and the bitter taste of consequences they would carry for the rest of their lives. Mama Amara walked out to the veranda, watching her eldest son's car disappear down the road. Her face was a mixture of pride and sorrow. Pride in Jabari's strength of character. Sorrow for the children who had failed so miserably. You reap what you sow, she murmured, shaking her head. They planted seeds of betrayal, and now they harvest a lifetime of regret. Inside the house, Mosi collapsed onto a sofa, his head in his hands. Seko paced the room, desperate for a solution that no longer existed. Nia wept in Kwame's arms, begging him to think of something, anything to fix what they had broken. But some things, once shattered, cannot be repaired. 3 months later, Jabari stood on the balcony of his penthouse in Nairobi, overlooking the glittering city skyline. His company had just acquired another gold mine in Tanzania, expanding his already vast empire. His phone rang. It was Mama Mara. My son, she said, her voice warm with love. The others came again today, begging me to arrange a meeting with you. Jabari sighed. And what did you tell them, Mama? I told them what I always tell them, that true family is revealed not by blood, but by actions, that loyalty is not measured in words, but in deeds during times of hardship. Jabari smiled sadly. You are wise as always, Mama. Will you ever forgive them? She asked gently. Jabari looked out at the setting sun, its golden rays turning the clouds crimson and purple. Perhaps someday, Mama. But forgiveness doesn't mean restoration. They must live with the consequences of their choices. That evening, as darkness fell over Kenya, Jabari reflected on everything he had learned. Wealth could buy comfort and luxury, but it could not purchase genuine love or loyalty. True character was revealed not in moments of prosperity, but in times of perceived need. He had lost his siblings, but gained something far more valuable, clarity and truth. And with that truth came the freedom to invest his affection only in those who loved him for himself, not for what he could give them. The truth is finally out, and the family's shame is complete. Jabari's test revealed their true hearts, and now they must live with the consequences of their greed and betrayal. Justice has been served, but at what cost? Was Jabari right to cut them off completely, or should family bonds triumph over disappointment? This story teaches us powerful lessons. True love is tested in times of need, not abundance. Family isn't just about blood. It's about loyalty when you have nothing to offer. Never forget the hands that lifted you when you were down, because character is revealed when people think you can no longer help them. If this emotional story touched your heart and made you think about the meaning of real family loyalty, smash that like button. Share this powerful tale with someone who needs to hear about the importance of gratitude and staying humble no matter how successful you become. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion for more incredible stories that will make you laugh, cry, and think deeply about life, love, and family. Ring that notification bell so you never miss these emotional journeys that remind us what truly matters in life. Remember, wealth may come and go, but character and loyalty are treasures that last forever. Until next time, keep your heart open to those who love you for who you are, not what you have.